Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash, and here's today's comic, Electric Warriors #1 by Steve Orlando and Travel Foreman. Strange name. Sorry for the glare. I got this overhead light that's just mucking things up. I've really been a fan of these B variant covers that DC does, even though I'm against variants in general. But as long as they're there, I guess I don't ever buy more than one if I can help it. There's a couple times I have bought two by accident or whatever, but never intentionally. I don't like supporting the whole gimmick that they started with back in the 90s with like, oh, you need 5 copies of this new X-Men comic. Everything's the same inside. All you're doing is cover. It's like, nah, I don't like that. But I'm paying for one, so they're not making any extra money off me, and I'm just going to pick the one I like best. I like that DC, unlike Marvel, puts the title of the comic and the number. Marvel does theirs this blank, Virgin, which looks real nice, and then you put them in your boxes, and God forbid they get mixed up because you have no way to tell like what even the title of the book is, much less what number it is. I like that they put the real simplistic logo there. That should just stay permanently for all their books. It's nice, minimalistic. And Trajan brought this up, one of my favorite fellow YouTubers, that they need to put the issue number up here. So when you're filing in your comic box, you can see. And I 100% agree with them. In fact, if you look at DC's, the White Knight series, that's exactly what they did. Although they have the White Knight, logo, it's not an alternate thing. They still did this exact stamp and a simple 1 or a 2 or a 3 right up here, and it looked really nice. And they could do the same thing here, I think, even if it was like watermarked, so it was like not super easily visible. That would be fine. But I'll take this. It's just at the bottom and it was in your box. I'm rambling. I think this is a neat cover. This really kind of harkens back to 90s comics for me. And one thing I really like about this, before I get into the actual book, I'm speaking like before reading the book, what I liked about going into this and got me excited was I don't know anything about this. I know I don't like the name, Electric Warriors. Whatever. But I like that I don't know anything. Sometimes it's fun or it's comfortable to read comics that you're used to. I call them like comfort food comics. Like say you're really into Batman and you've been reading Batman for 20 years or whatever. You want to sit down and read a Batman book and you just want to know what you're going to get. X-Men, Uncanny X-Men used to be that for me. Every week I was just getting my comfort food and my fix, and it was great. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, I encourage you, everyone should have books like that. It's part of the fun of comics and collecting for so long. And as a medium, unlike TV or movies, where you can have storylines go on for decades. But it's also very exciting sometimes to just get into something you don't know anything about at all. Don't know who the characters are, don't know what the world is. Like, it's almost like reading a new novel, and just having that discovery that sometimes we forget as comic book fans. If you are a person who only reads the comics you forget what that's like. Or maybe you become hesitant. You're a little bit scared to venture out and try new books because they're going to suck. So you just stick with what you know because it's safe. Well, I think it's good to try new things because even though you can get burned, you can find some wonderful new stuff. And for me, being a DC newbie, I know about DC because of the cartoons and the lore. I know like the surface of DC. I know when I was a little kid, I grew up, excuse me, have a cough. I grew up as a kid watching Super Friends. That was probably my first taste into superheroes and my love for superheroes. I loved Super Friends when I was a kid. And then my first comic book was X-Men, and then that what got me into the Marvel Universe. I just loved X-Men so much. And part of what I loved about X-Men was kind of what I loved about Super Friends, right? They were, in a sense, the X-Men are a group of Super Friends. I never actually thought about that until right now. But my knowledge of DC kind of comes from that, and then just over the years, just like, I've seen Batman movies and this and that. And I actually did read Batman comics from time to time. That was the one DC book I would read occasionally when I was collecting comics in the 90s. Never would read a Superman comic. I always thought Superman was hokey. Most of the DC characters I thought were hokey, like Aquaman, Hawkman, Wonder Woman. I don't know. I was prejudiced, and I fully admit that. But now that I'm reading them and I'm actually going beyond just the surface level normie, misunderstanding of the characters, I'm getting real excited because I'm like, I don't know this world. I don't know all about Atlantis and Aquaman. I don't know about, the many lives of Hawkman. I don't know about all this stuff. And that's what really got me into New Age of Heroes. I was like, oh, not only am I getting into DC, but here's a brand new set of characters, and they're kind of doing it the Marvel way, which I'm familiar with and I like, but I'm in the DC universe, which I get. It was like the best of both worlds, so I was kind of bummed. Fast forward, why I'm rambling about that is because New Age of Heroes, there's a book in there that's still going on and I'm still enjoying called The Unexpected. I did a review number 6, and it's a good book. It's the best book of the series so far. Steve Orlando, yep, that guy right there, wrote the book. And one of the things I loved so much about The Unexpected is everything I just said here. It is so different and new, and I have no idea what to expect. In that, spoiler alert, in that book, The Unexpected, they kill 2 of the characters of the team in like the second issue. I think it's the second issue they kill them. And I was like, what? And I was like, okay, they'll be back within, a couple of... No, they don't. They're dead. Now, they may come back in the future. I don't know. But it's like, wow, that's not like normal comics. And I didn't know what was going to... He quickly established to me that the book was going to live up to its namesake, The Unexpected. I did not know what to expect in that book. And it kept me going. Now, there were some problems in the writing and different things, which I won't go into. You can read the reviews there. But ultimately, by issue number 6, it turned out to be a worthwhile series, which is still ongoing, to my understanding. And I'm continuing to pick it up, so it's worthwhile. And because it's that good, I liked it enough that I've decided to pick this bad boy up cold, just cold, because of the credit of Steve Orlando alone. Okay, that being said, geez, Ash, go on forever. Real quick, Nerdette's Newsstand, favorite of Ash on Comics. She does some cool stuff. She's got 3 times as many followers as I do, and she's only been doing this 1/3 as long. So, yeah, she's way better than me. And she posted up this video, which I haven't watched yet. Why I'm officially done with DC? What? Nerdette. No. Read some good DC. You and I need to have words, because you're reading the wrong books. I'm going to watch your video. I don't know what you're talking about. That concerns me. I'm going to watch it next. You should give her channel a try. She's fun. Her channel's a lot like mine. I guess she's just more charismatic and better looking. But be that as it may, you don't have to look at me. You can look at Pretty Comics. And this comic it's a mixture of pretty and ugly. Now, D&C, Diversity in Comics, just did a review of some Marvel book that had Travel Foreman. Is that his name? Yeah, Travel. What a weird name. As the artist. And he was talking about, I love Travel Foreman, and he's always done great stuff. But then he ripped the book and said, this is garbage. Like, his art is shit. I can't remember which book it is. It's a newer book. And he was just like, what is up? This is not the Travel Foreman I'm used to, and it's just terrible. Well, I don't know anything about Travel Foreman. I just remember that name because it's weird. And I'm reading this book, and I'm like, oh, I'm liking this art. It's pretty good. One thing I do not like is this modern style of no inking. Just colors on pencils, or what we call digital inking. And I think all this is done digitally. And tap to focus. By the way, DNC, you're never going to watch my channel because I'm nobody, I'm sure, and you're too busy. But when you want to focus, just tap. Oh, and also DNC, your phone's always running out of juice. My phone's out of juice right now too, but guess what? Check this out. Let me show you this thing. It's called a battery pack. This is a 1600 milliamp by Aki. It's got quick charge and normal charge, and yeah, it'll charge my phone up like 3 or 4 times, and it will do it super fast charge. And you should have one of these if you're recording, because you can just keep it plugged in even if I'm not near an outlet. So, this book, geez, 10 minutes have gone by. I haven't even talked about this book, so I'm going to go sparingly. Fast forward, thumbs up. Overall, this is a recommend. I am excited about the next issue, but I have some caveats. Number one, the art starts off, this is the strongest the art goes, and it just gets worse and worse as the issue goes by, and I do not understand. This happened in Immortal Men, but Immortal Men was canceled. It was just on the death row, and so like the final issues were rolling out, and they could kind of tell like, we don't care about the book anymore because we know it's not like, and they probably hired their artists to do other stuff. This is a first issue. This should be like 2 months in the planning. Let's get it all tight and going and have a really great launch. Anyways, it just gets worse, and we'll get to that. But this is a hard book to describe. It takes place far in the future, like the year 27 something or other, in a world that is so stripped away from the DC universe that this really could just be an Image comic book. Except for one thing, which I'll get to, which is really cool. But this reminds me of kind of an Image sci-fi story, which is not bad. Some of that stuff is good. I'm not sure how much I like that in DC, however, because I read DC for the continuity and the connective tissues between the books, that shared universe. That is a plus that they can offer me. If I want to just read individual book, I can just go to Image and get separated tales like this. So it's not necessarily a con about the book, but it's something that I don't think DC should be really doing. That being said, I really enjoyed what was going on. And this book is about, in the future, animals through some hyper technology in their past have been made sentient and given the ability to be more humanized. They walk on 2 legs. Planet of the Apes kind of, except with many different kinds of animals, not just apes. And they just call them the animals versus like humans. And there's kind of a play on human rights. There's a very civil rights metaphor going on here where humans are like looked down upon, all the animals kind of degrade them. Sorry, I had to take off the case. One of the bad things about charging your phone while you're recording is it tends to get hot. So rather than risk it overheating during the recording, I just decided to take off the back case. You don't care about that. Moving on. So the animals are sentient. It's 700 years in the future, and humanity is now kind of, it's very analogous to like the 60s black, civil rights movement. And humans are very much looked down upon. There's a lot of prejudice and bigotry. But it's not overstated. I was really worried when I was reading this book. I was like, oh God, here we come. We're going to get all this mad politics. But it's done tastefully. It's done the way X-Men used to handle it. And really the only reason it's even brought up in the book is to establish the setting. It wasn't actually to make a point of, my politics. It was like, here's how the world is today. And da-da-da. So I was like, cool. So this character is one of the animals. She's of the octopus kind. She's been made sentient, and they live far in the deep. They've never seen the sun, and they do lights, and it's really cool. Their little backstory I was finding interesting. I also like how they break the book into chapters. It really flowed like that. And here we have one of the main characters, Navarro. He picks fights all the time with the animals, which is what we saw here in the beginning. Him picking a fight and getting his butt kicked. So yeah. And heroes are gone. There apparently are no more heroes. I don't know why. I don't know what the Green Lantern Corps is. I'm presuming they're going to get into that, hopefully, because otherwise it's really like the point I made earlier about this being completely not needed to be a DC book will be true. But if they can connect that and have also, hey, this is what happened to all these, then it will make sense of why it's a DC book, and I'll be more attached. So we get a little bit of slice of life in this character, and he's meeting some side characters on the street, and it's really actually flowing like an interesting novel. This character, and I don't know what's going on. This character is very much against things are in the world, and we come to find out, spoilers, there's going to be a little bit of spoilers here, well, a lot, you're seeing me flip through the book, but I'm not going to read through anything. I want you to, this is a recommended book. His brother is it's not a twin, but he's identical in looks. I don't know if that's something to do with genetics in the future or whatever, but they talk about how they're 11 months apart. But genetically, I mean, they look like identical twins. So his brother has been selected to be this thing called the Electric Warrior, which my understanding, and I just read it once, is that the Electric Warrior, this concept has been done before, where it's like war has been abolished, and they have champions representing species rather than like armies. And so his twin brother has been selected to be one of those champions called the Electric Warrior. And there's this thing called the Electric Seed. And every planet like has one, and that seed gives the Electric Warrior a bunch of power, so essentially makes him into like a superhero or a superpowered being. And the main character that we've seen so far is very much against his brother doing that thing. And he's just like, this is suicide, it's bullshit, it's just where people go to die, and then they show people getting killed and stuff, and it's just like, you're just going to go get killed for no reason to entertain. And the brother's like, no, this is an honor, and, all the people that'll be saved by me doing this. And you can kind of see both sides of the story, which I like. Again, it's good storytelling. You should never proselytize to the reader. You should let the reader see equal sides and kind of come to their own conclusions. That takes a strong writer to do that. And here we see the octopus girl kind of come to the surface, see light for the first time, and then she is greeted by the tribes folk. So there's no humans, as you can see, and they're like, our champion, Earth's true Electric Warrior. And you're like, what? I thought the other guy was Electric Warrior. Well, that's part of the story here, is that humanity has finally won some big human rights thing, and it's like the Person Accords or something like that. So like humanity was unpersoned for hundreds of years, and they won this big civil rights thing, so they've been personed. And one of the things about them being repersoned, kind of sounds silly every time I say it, but is that they get to participate in the seed, the Electric Warrior thing. So in the first time in the history of the planets and everything that's involved in this, so that's another thing, Earth has been outside of this conglomerate of planets because I guess we destroyed ourselves, and so Earth's been off on its own doing things and is trying to get back into this confederation, this big galactic thing. And so for the first time ever, a planet's going to have two champions. And that's kind of what the book is illustrating as well. And we fast forward and they talk about that here. And you see the seed and you see the characters going through the process of becoming the champions. And the octopus girl, I forget her actual name, but she becomes Deep Dweller and he becomes Warcry. And one of the cool things that happens is the humans that are like, a separate faction right on Earth come to him and they're like, oh, you're like our champion. We saved this relic as a gift for you. And it's the Shroud of Kal-El, and it's actually Superman's cape, which, as you may know, is indestructible and everything. And he's like, may I protect you and all stuff. And I got a little choked up. I'm not going to read this to you, but I was like, oh, that's so cool. And that's connective tissue that you can have, that if this were just an image, this comic would have worked. This would have had to have been something else, and it would, I'm saying it wouldn't have had that connective. And now I was like, oh, so he's going to be wearing Superman's cloak. He's not Superman. They don't even call him that. But through the book, they mention Superman as like the guy who united Earth and everything like that, united humanity. We still don't know what actually his ultimate fate was. We just know that he's no longer around, which is weird because we know other things, and Superman goes thousands of years in the future. So, well, I don't know. So, I'm not going to skip past some of this stuff. There's a twist in the storyline that I'll let you discover on your own, which I thought was really kind of cool and adds to some of the drama. And at the end, we find out that Firestorm is alive, so there's more connective tissue. And here we are, the Covenant that rules, I guess, the overall, the galaxy and this united conglomerate of planets or whatever. And here I was like, oh, Sector 666, okay, like, is this the rings? Is this a Green Lantern still around? Like, what's going on with this? It doesn't really say, and someone's talking about something, which I'll let you read, and about Earth has always been a project of this, who's talking? The person in the shadows, and they would have succeeded if they just listened to me, blah, 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 blah. Firestorm. So I'm like, oh, interesting. There's a nice use. I never really liked Firestorm. Even back in the day when I watched Super Friends, I was like, this is a dumb... When they had like the newer episodes and they introduced him, I'm like, you're a dumb character, go away. But here I'm compelled. I'm like, oh, this might be a good use of this character. So Electric Warriors, round 1, a far better thing. I was very pleased. There are some critiques that I have. Oh, look, a little preview of Aquaman. We'll see if that's terrible or okay. Zach seems to be really thrilled. He also loves the new Wonder Woman. I think Zach is just loving him some SJW comics lately. But, yes, I liked this better than The Unexpected. Which is weird because I look at both comics and I like the concept of The Unexpected. If you described to me both pitches, if you gave me both pitches on paper, I'd say The Unexpected is the book I'm more interested in still. But this is better executed. Orlando writes right out of the gate this compelling new world with characters and things going on. And unlike The Unexpected, which had so much mumbo jumbo, and the storytelling was just so convoluted with the whole metal and everything, which I was ultimately okay with, but it's still, this just flowed. I was through this book in no time. It felt fun and adventurous. It felt compelling, like I was interested in the plot, what's going to happen next. The only thing I did not like, honestly, about the book, pardon my sniffle there, is that the art, which it's hard to see on the screen here. Let me see if I can show you a couple scenes that I was just like, what the... No, that's going to spoil. Of course, now you're going to be like, what's wrong? Okay, here we go. Focus. Just super simplistic, no backgrounds. That panel wasn't so bad, but this panel, their faces, it's like, what's wrong with your faces? And then here it's just muddy and like this, like, I don't know what that face, like, it just, I don't know, this is not the character's strong point. And it was kind of jarring because the book starts off, with this, and just, I don't know. Anyways, I did not really enjoy the art, but it was passable. And like the story transcended it. So I definitely can give us a thumbs up. And I'm really looking forward to where this is going. This is a Move the Needle comic. They included some DC stuff. So it overcame my problem. I was like, why are you just going to have some random comic in the future? This could be a Vertigo book in that case. But no, feels like it's DC. And yeah, check this book out. Nerdette, I don't know what's wrong with your comic DC hate. This is a good book. There's other books I'm going to talk to you. You can read. You watch my channel, don't you? There's good books for you to read. I don't know why you're thrown off because of Batman. And by the way, if that Batman issue, which I haven't read yet, I don't care how horrible that Batman issue might end up being. That's a filler book. Tomasi's taking over ongoing. So don't be like, throw DC out with the bathwater because a filler writer wrote a bad issue. All right, I got to watch your thing now and actually get the scoop. But thanks, guys, for watching. Come back again. I'll try to give you more reviews. We'll see how Thanksgiving week goes. There might be a sparsity. I don't know. But yeah, I'm blabbing. Bye.